We were sitting at the kitchen table. I had just finished cleaning the house, cooking dinner, paying bills, helping our son with homework. Mark walked in, loosened his tie, grabbed a beer, looked around the spotless kitchen, and said, "You're lucky, you know." I frowned. Lucky? Yeah, he said casually. You get to stay home all day while I actually work. He took a long drink and added, Honestly, I wish my job was that easy. Easy. That word burned. I didn't argue. I smiled politely and said, You're right. But that night, something inside me shifted. While he slept, I opened my laptop and started building the empire he would one day beg to be part of. If you've ever been told you don't work while you're holding an entire household together, or if you've ever felt invisible in your own marriage while your partner takes credit for your sacrifices, hit that like button right now if this hits deep. Subscribe if you want more stories where the underestimated finally flip the script and deliver the kind of quiet, devastating justice that feels earned. Let's dive into how one dismissive comment sparked a $200 million empire and a divorce. My name is Lisa Carter. I'm 36 now, but back then at 32, I was just Mark's wife, the stay-at-home mom, the one who didn't work. The kitchen smelled like roasted chicken and fresh laundry that night. Our son was asleep upstairs. The house was quiet except for the hum of the fridge and the soft clink of Mark's beer bottle on the counter. I had spent the day doing what I always did. Woke at 5:30 to pack lunches, cleaned bathrooms before the sun rose, dropped our son at school, grocery run, laundry, bills, homework help, dinner prepped and ready by 6:30, the house spotless, everything running like clockwork. And Mark walked in at 7:15, loosened his tie, opened the fridge, and said those words that changed everything. You're lucky, you know? I paused, dish towel in hand. Lucky? Yeah, he said casually. You get to stay home all day while I actually work. He took a long drink and added, Honestly, I wish my job was that easy. Easy. The word landed like a slap. My chest tightened. Breath caught in my throat. But I didn't argue. I smiled politely, the same smile I'd used for years, and said, You're right. He nodded, satisfied, and went to watch TV. I stood there alone in the kitchen, staring at the spotless counters I had scrubbed on my hands and knees that afternoon. Inside, something cracked. Not rage, clarity. That night, while he slept, I opened my laptop in the dark living room, screen glow lighting my face. I started something small, an online store. Handmade home organization products, storage systems, planners, minimalist solutions I had designed while managing our own chaotic life. It began during nap times and quiet afternoons. First sale, $47. Then 10, then 20, then 100. I didn't tell Mark. Why would I? Every time I tried to share ideas, he brushed them off. Online businesses aren't real companies. They're just hobbies. You should focus on the house. So I did. I focused on the house and the business, quietly. 2 years later, the business had a name, Calm Nest Living. Orders poured from all over the country. Influencers reviewed our products. I hired 2 remote assistants, then 5, then a warehouse. Revenue crossed 7 figures, then 8. Mark still thought his corporate job paid for everything. He bragged to friends about his stable salary. Meanwhile, the company under his name, because he insisted on being the owner on paper, was earning 10 times more than his paycheck. But I kept it quiet, because silence gave me control. The affair started 6 months before everything exploded. Mark forgot his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered. A message popped up. Heart emoji. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Photos, messages, hotel reservations. 6 months with a coworker named Rachel. 6 months while I cooked dinners, ran his side business, and raised our son, while he told people I didn't work. My hands shook, but strangely, I didn't cry. Something colder replaced the shock. Clarity. The next morning, Mark kissed my cheek and left for work like nothing had happened. I watched him drive away from the kitchen window. Then I sat down at my laptop, opened the financial dashboard, and began making calls. First, the bank. Hi, this is Lisa Carter. I manage the financial operations for Carter Enterprises. Technically true. I need to freeze all outgoing transfers from the primary accounts. The banker hesitated. Under whose authorization? Power of attorney under Mark Carter. Pause. Understood. Next, the accountant. Pause all investment distributions. Then the payment processor. Temporarily suspend withdrawals. Within 45 minutes, every dollar connected to Mark's assets was locked. The house mortgage, connected to the business account. His luxury car lease, same. Credit cards, business-backed. By noon, Mark had access to nothing. At 3:17 p.m., my phone rang. Mark. I answered calmly. Hello? He shouted. What the hell is happening with our accounts? I stirred my tea slowly. What do you mean? He said, my cards are declining everywhere. Oh, I said softly. I froze them. Silence. Then fury. You did what? I froze the assets. You can't do that. I can, I said quietly. I manage the company. What company? I took a breath. Calm Nest Living. Another silence. Then confusion. That's my company. Yes, on paper. His voice cracked. How much money are we talking about? I finally told him. $42 million in revenue last year. Dead silence. Then a whisper. You're lying. You should really read the documents you sign. That night, Mark came home early, stormed into the living room. You stole my company. I looked up from the couch. No, I said calmly. I built it. You registered it in my name. Because you said you wanted an investment. He stared at me like he didn't know who I was. Why freeze everything? I opened my phone and showed him the messages. Rachel, hotel receipts, photos. His face went pale. That's not what it looks like. I laughed softly. 6 months, Mark. He rubbed his face. Lisa, please, we can fix this. Of course we can. Hope flickered in his eyes. Then I finished. Through lawyers. 3 months later, the divorce settlement was finalized. Because the business operated under marital assets, I kept operational control. Mark received a financial buyout. Generous, enough to start over, but nowhere near the empire he thought he owned. A year later, Calm Nest Living was valued at over $200 million. Interviews called me a self-made entrepreneur. People loved the story of a stay-at-home mom who built a global brand. They asked how I balanced everything. I always gave the same answer. Quiet work is still work. Sometimes I wonder if Mark ever understood the real lesson. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about the money. It was about something simpler. Respect. Because the woman he thought did nothing all day was the reason he ever had anything at all. And when respect disappears, so does everything else. Mark sat across from me in the lawyer's office, papers spread between us. His hands shook slightly as he signed the settlement. No more bravado, no more breadwinner jokes. Just a man realizing he had lost the empire he never built. He looked up at me, voice small. You could have taken everything. I met his eyes. I did. Silence. Then quietly, I was wrong. Too late. The ink dried. He walked out with a check and a fraction of what he thought was his. I walked out with the company, the house, our son's future, and my dignity intact. Relief washed over me like warm sunlight. No more pretending, no more carrying his ego. Triumph quiet but complete. validation in every canceled transfer, every frozen account, justice earned, as fair as his betrayal deserved. Respect isn't automatic, it's earned. And when someone dismisses your work, your invisible labor, your quiet empire, they show you exactly who they are. If you've ever been told you don't work while holding everything together, know this. Your value isn't defined by their words, it's defined by what you build. And sometimes the greatest revenge is simply refusing to carry someone who refuses to see you. If this story gave you that deep, satisfying exhale of finally, smash the like button and tell me in the comments, have you ever been the silent breadwinner in your relationship? What was your breaking point? We read every single one. And subscribe for more Reddit revenge stories where the underestimated finally take back their power. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.